up next, you guys may know him from the community podcast called MogTalk. It's Frosty.
They were just going to, take him out as quick as they could.
Sure.
Oh, okay, hold on, sorry. Here we go. Let's get the party going. Everybody's showing up.
海外の FRC をご覧になった方はご存知かもしれませんが、ゲームキャスターのフロスティさんという方がですね、この大会の動画の、この大会のために動画を制作していただきました。
そもそもね、フロスティが作る動画がね、素晴らしくわかりました。
わかりやすい。まとめてくれた。素晴らしい。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you フロスティ。Thank you フロスティ。多分見てると思いますね。
Welcome, everybody, to MogTalk episode 300. It is May 4th, 2024, and today I am just going to be here by myself, which is very abnormal. I don't think I've ever done a show completely by myself before. But, I wanted to do something for MogTalk 300, and it's been a little over 9 years. And I never really think much of myself when I think of, who I am, what I do, and everything else. I'm just doing my best every single time, right? I want to do it. It's fun to do it. But then when I start thinking about it, and I start going into the past about, wow, I've talked to Yoshida on a good handful of occasions. I've done commentary over at FanFest. I've done a podcast that's still somehow going in some way after 9 years. Granted, there's decent breaks here and there. Hosting the Final Fantasy XIV World Race, and that spiraled into what it is right now. Along with just like a handful of other things, streaming now. It seems a little unreal because I don't see those as relation to me, right? That if I see that like someone else did that, I'd be like, wow, those are huge accomplishments. But I don't know. Maybe the type of person I am, I don't think about that stuff. But I tried to think, hey, what's a good idea for MogTalk 300? I don't have a lot of time, right? I can't do the 12-hour episodes I did before. But what I can do, for sure, I can at least come up here and talk about what happened from the start to where we are now. And maybe even in the future. So that's what we're going to do today. I appreciate you guys coming here. It's going to be a very laid-back conversation with me and you, the people who chose to be here today, and the people who choose to watch it on YouTube. I'll talk to you, of course, in the comments as well. It's really weird. We're on the eve of Dawn Trail, which is what we got: A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, Endwalker, the 6th expansion of this game that I have played. I didn't play back in 1.0. But, one of the things that people do ask me a lot, right? If we want to go back to how we started, I kind of have to go back to the beginning. Why did I even start playing this game? So while I'm doing that too, feel free to ask questions in chat. Usually in MogTalk, we don't have a lot of back and forth between the chat, and myself, because I'm paying attention to the guests and I'm paying attention to everything else. Feel free to ask these questions, and I'll ask them. I know there's only a handful of people who might be interested in this stuff, but I am here for you, so feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to get to them. But yeah, going back, I started this game in I think it was like February of 2014. I believe so. Yeah, and then came over with a bunch of my friends. Came over with a bunch of my friends, and me and my wife were the only people who stuck around. Thank you, Chet. I do appreciate. Why is Ryan Gosling on the show? If only I could be at the same regard he is. But that being said, again, you know, I started this. I guess maybe Leviathan was coming out, and it was the exciting time, being knocked off a boat. We were still fighting Titan, you know, hard mode or extreme, right? Titan extreme back in the day, being knocked off the side, and these were the big challenges that we faced. And I never really thought a lot of Final Fantasy XIV. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I started, it was just something to do with my wife. It was one of the just activities, and I tried to play with friends. You know, they didn't stick around, but my wife stuck around. And I was like, okay. And my wife is Kerr, so if you hear me say Kerr, that's her, by the way, for those who are unfamiliar, because I'll be bringing up her a lot, likely, within this show. But yeah, the crazy part about that is I only played to play with her, and she wanted to do raids. But there's no groups around. She didn't want to join Party Finder or whatever. It was isolated to the, you know, the server in particular. She wanted to do it with a group of people, right? Consistently, that she didn't have to feel nervous around. And I was like, fuck it, I'll start a raid group. So I started my first static back in the day, and we faced the first, I think, you know, we did a handful of things in second coil, but we also got into the third coil together. That's when the third coil was the first big thing for us. So hold on, let me show you back in the day, because this is when I started streaming a little bit for fun, right? Let me look at the exact date on this. 9 years ago, this is actually a little bit after FanFest. I guess I started streaming and showing, but it's good for perspective anyways. Let's throw that on the screen. This is me raiding T10 as a warrior. I actually played Paladin back here, but I think our warrior was out that day. And yeah, you can see Kerberos, that's my wife, healing here. And there's a handful of people in this group that you guys, PvPers might recognize. Jack Green here. He was in the PvP community for a while, but none of the old Gs here are still around. But yeah, this is baby me playing the game. You can see I still have a very solid, straight face, paying attention to only what's going on. Had TeamSpeak on the screen before Discord got big and everything else. But this was just in the FC. I guess we're in Cult of Kefka. I don't really remember that too much. But we're over in that FC. And this was when this stuff was current. It was insane. This was the first clear that we had. And we did other things too. Let me see if I can pull up. You know, I have, I think I might have a 12 on here, T12, which this is what streaming looked like. This is what I thought streaming should look like, right? With this little interface, made the chat at the bottom of the screen. This is Kerr is actually with me too, and this is just us being babies playing this game. Had little character profiles at the top. I thought this was the best I could do in MS Paint with an overlay. Even at this point, right? I'm still wanting to talk to people. I'm still wanting to have these questions asked and answered and everything. But yeah, this was long ago. But this is actually, I didn't start streaming and doing this stuff. You look, everybody has Stone Skin, by the way, if you guys remember Stone Skin up at the top left corner. I didn't actually start streaming and start doing this stuff until FanFest. FanFest 2014, the first Final Fantasy XIV FanFest, was the reason I started getting into streaming, the reason I got into podcasting, the reason I got into all this stuff. Because as soon as I was done with FanFest, I wanted to actually talk to people more. It was really crazy thinking back in back then, because that's when you ask the question, how did you start MogTalk? The seed for all of it is FanFest 2014. It's a direct beginning to my content creation era that I'm living in currently still. But it was an insane experience because I went there because, again, Kerr wanted to go there. And I've never been to a gaming convention of any type at all. I was like, what if I wear my WoW shirt over there? Because I was still playing WoW with my buddies and everything. That was my MMO, not my beginning, but the first MMO I really got into and made friends online with, and I still talk to them this day. But they, I wore that shirt to FanFest thinking I'd be funny, bringing a WoW shirt to Final Fantasy XIV's first FanFest, but no one gave a fuck. I was so stupid. I was so dumb. I just went there, and everybody was just gamers, right? And we didn't really know anyone. It was just Kerr and myself going. But then she found a Reddit post where people were just like, hey, let's just meet up with people, you know? We don't have a party to go with. It's just going to be a couple of us. They have all these activities. We want, like, just a party of people to do stuff with. And so we met up with them, and it's just a whole bunch of random people I've never talked to before. Went and did a little side events at FanFest. I wasn't a content creator at the time, so I didn't know anyone. I just knew me, my wife, and these group of random Reddit friends that we made. And we went and did all the little challenges. We did stuff together, and it was great. It was insane, and everyone talked about Final Fantasy XIV. I've never been in an environment where hundreds, thousands of people were all geeking out about the exact same video game, wearing these shirts that were all like gamer shirts. It's just this whole environment. We're all in Vegas, and it was just eye-opening to what a community of people who are really passionate about something did. And at that moment, I wasn't passionate about it. I just fell in love with the passion, right? I got like obsessed with just like this thing that just brought so many people together, and it made so many people happy. And just to take a second to answer a question from Jet here, did you get a photo of you and Yoshi P-san at your first FanFest? Very funny story. We were at a poolside event. Let me show you. Actually, funny, not video of me, right? Not video of me doing it, but Square Enix has a video. Square Enix has a video of this, and so when we went there, it was over at this Rio, and there's this just poolside event here. You'll see Mr. Happy pop up here too. Mr. Happy this is the first big content creation thing for him, right? And Yoshida came up, and he was talking to people over at the pool, and everything else, and taking photos randomly with people. They're filming people out here and everything. Let me see. I just want to see Mr. Happy pop up. He'll pop up here in a second. I thought it was fucking hilarious when I saw him, because it's so old, man. This is again FanFest 2014. There he is. Centerpiece right there. Old school Mr. Happy. Fucking insane. But that pool event, right? That pool event was Yoshida. Yoshida came out. I didn't know Happy at all at the time. I had no fucking clue. I didn't care. Nothing of that mattered to me. But Yoshida came up, and a line started forming next to him, and he was just taking pictures of people. And then I was like, all right, you know, Kerr and I went and stood in line to take pictures. And then Kerr went and took a picture with Yoshida. And then Yoshida waved me over to come take a picture. I was like, nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm fine. That's how little involved I was with my interest. Wasn't completely there. I was like, whatever, it's fine. You know, I don't I don't need it. And we just left after that. It was one of the funniest things I think back to is just how like indifferent I was to that stuff back then. Another funny situation that we had at that FanFest is one of the mornings I went into Starbucks line to get Starbucks, and I thought, all right, we're gonna do this. You know, I have my little book and stuff hanging out, and then some of the battle depths came walking by and everybody was cheering them on. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Hey, what's up? I put my hand up to give them a high five. They gave me a high five. I was the last person in line, and they turned around and stood directly behind me because they wanted to get Starbucks too. But they were just gonna wait in line. And I was like, okay, now this is kind of awkward. I can't talk to them. There's obviously a language barrier there. But I have a moment of like sort of semi-developer starstruckness, right? I guess right there. I'm like, I don't know what to do in this situation. I want my coffee. I gotta go. I should probably let him pass. I didn't let him pass. I just kept going in line and got my coffee. But it just let him stand behind me the entire time. It was weird, and but thinking back, it was very, very funny. Cause I had to get the coffee. It was me getting it for Kerr, and starting our morning. I was like, I can't delay this, right? Again, having all these just like close encounter reactions with the developers, with people who played this, like people are so in love with this game, and the people who make this stuff happen are just there around you, right? It was weird. But yeah, we continued throughout the event, FanFest. And again, there's just tons of tables. People were sitting down just like talking about White Mage. They were talking about different jobs. They were talking about whatever, just having conversations about Raid and like the current tier and all that other stuff. And it was just so insane to me because I felt so just included. And I felt comfortable at home in some regard, right? And so it was such a great feeling. Then there was something that sealed the deal. We stayed for the concert. And it was, I think, a Saturday night concert because they did the event. Thursday was pre-registration. Friday, Saturday, I think, was the deal then. And then Saturday, we stayed for the concert. We drove there. We're going to drive back afterwards. And we didn't know what to expect with the concert. We're just like, okay, a concert. Then fucking Soken and Koji and like their whole band, the Primals, comes out in these Scion outfits, these robes, walking on stage, and just like music starts playing, and they just fucking go crazy. And they're singing the Titan song. They're singing like all these fucking songs up there, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm watching one of the best concerts I've ever watched in my life, and it's a video game rock concert happening in front of me. I was not expecting it, and it blew my fucking mind. I still remember like just like being taken back by Ahsoka just sitting on there singing fuck you Titan in the middle of the Titan song, and I'm just like, all right, I think I found a place, right? I found a place of just happiness. It's within this Final Fantasy 14 community, everything that's going on with Final Fantasy 14. This is it. So I started streaming, and I wanted to talk to people, right? I still wanted to talk to people about Final Fantasy 14 in that same way, with these same people who are just so freaking passionate about this game, that just wanted to just share their thoughts and feelings about how things are unbalanced, how things are, change their life, whatever it was, just tons of different topics to talk about. Like, I could do this forever, right? And it's like, let me do it. This is what I'm going to do, a stream. I'm going to talk to people, right? I'm going to make a podcast. I didn't know what a fucking podcast was. So I just, one day, I talked to some of my static members. I was like, I kind of want to do a podcast, I kind of want to just like do a thing where we just talk about topics and news or whatever. And I don't have anyone else to do it with. It would just be me. It's just me. I don't have any experience. I didn't know what a podcast should look like. All I knew is what I wanted. And what I wanted was to talk to people about Final Fantasy 14. I had a small vision, small idea of what that would look like. In the end, let me see if I can let me pull that pilot episode up for you. Here we go. And this is what it turned out to be for our first episode. Is me talking in Mordana with my buddy Jack Green, talking about just various bits of news. Here, Valentine's Day, we discussed Valentine's Day. I brought up things about stuff that was said on the forum. I can't even remember what the topic was here. Oh, ponytails. We talked about ponytails. Look at this. We talked about ponytails at 3.0. I was just like, I want to find things to talk about. So let's talk about all this stuff. And it was just me on camera, and then I had Jack on voice. And we talked about bots, which is still a relevant thing here. RMT bans, right? We talked about just whatever I could think was in the news. Ishola Decidia, sure. Talked about Yoshida doing a Q&A here. And just various other points. Again, I really didn't know what to do. I just knew that I wanted to come out here and talk. And I made all these assets, these just things in paint. It just top Reddit post. Oh man, it was pretty funny. But this is the stuff that I thought was you know, just interesting to someone, right? That someone would want to discuss. And people were happy to talk about it because it was Final Fantasy 14. Even ponytails. Let's talk about it. Why not? Yeah, the logos. Gosh, let me see. I think I have them in some of the first episodes. Episode 1. Do I have an beginning part to that? We talked about Gold Saucer. There's got to be one where I actually have start out with a logo, because eventually I commissioned a logo. Here, let me pull this over, and we'll just kind of go through this here a little bit with you. So we go to oldest here. See my clears here. Moogle Wedding, Pilot, Gold Saucer, Episode 2. Then I started bringing people on, right? I convinced my wife, Kerr, to come on and talk, and Jack Green came on with a camera too. We started bringing that stuff in there. Add a little thing here to like say what the topics were and what we're gonna do. Just having fun in Gold Saucer. And a handful of people, not a lot of people watched. I mean, like, I think it got up to maybe 20 people or so. Maybe how many people watching now, right? But I mean, it was something to start with. There wasn't a ton of stuff that was out there at that moment that I thought was a podcast, although other podcasts were starting there too. Hey, Dude. Yeah, Dude was around, I think, somewhat at this point. But let's see. Answer the question about the logo. Oh gosh, where was the logo? I'm gonna assume, let's just say like right here. This is all right. Let's go back to the very start. Uncut, right here, very top of that. There we go. There's the first MogTalk logo, which Kerr made, which is my hair and a circle face, circle eyes, and a little Moogle right there at the top. That was the very first one. And basically, I had it blink on and off like the Cactar logo would on the TV screen, because I thought that was such a cool effect, right? For the little intro area. So that was neat. Yeah, MogTalk Origins. And then eventually I got a better logo. But yeah, I started bringing people on. At some point, I was like, there's Gilly who came on. Let me show you Gilly. Gilly Valentine. He came on, and he was a recurring kind of co-host at that point, because I didn't know what I was doing. The whole first year of me doing MogTalk was literally me not knowing what the hell I was doing at all. And so I was like, I didn't know if I had co-host. Guess, yeah, co-host sounds great. Let me bring on co-host. So Gilly came on, and then Adagio was another member of this too. Right here, you can see him start showing up. He brought on his baby as well for it, and we were just talking about various things. You know, again, whatever was going on, 255. But this was so long, 9 years ago. And this was the crew for the first handful. Is high school by now? Yeah, probably. And real quick, let me answer this question in chat. Why Moogles? Okay, all right, real quick. Why Moogles? For MogTalk, why Moogles? I love Moogles. Moogles were always my thing with Final Fantasy. My very first game I ever bought was Final Fantasy VI, which was called Final Fantasy III for the North Americans at the time that it came out on SNES. But the logo was that awesome Moogle, right? And so we don't talk about that, Gecko. Not that. We leave them alone. But that Moogle, and like you had a whole scene with the Moogles, and for some reason that just like set really well with me. And it was like a mascot that I could get behind and everything else. And I was thinking of names. I was like, what sounds good, man? I don't know. If I'm going to make a podcast, what the hell is the name going to be? And then I said MogTalk, and I was like, that kind of sticks. No other reason besides it kind of stuck. Mog, you remember Final Fantasy talk? We're talking perfect. Nothing else, right, could beat that dumb name. And so I stuck with it. I never changed it. Favorite Moogle design, absolutely, probably Final Fantasy VI. Anyways, going back over here to look at some of the stuff, you can kind of see how the evolution happened here if you go through that channel. And we had different people come on, and we talked about different topics. We didn't know what to talk about. It was a live letter. Then I started playing through all the Final Fantasies. I made it through Final Fantasy 1, and that was it. I couldn't make it past that. And you know, when you're doing these shows, when I'm doing this, again, I have no clue what I'm doing. I am just trying to figure out what to talk about. And so here, you know, we talk about live letter. We talk about T13 first clear. That's pretty good. More live letter conversations, news, and that's just it. Just lots of news at first. And then at some point, I was like, let's talk about online community. All right. And so we start talking about the online community here, and just having a little bit more narrowed conversations. Then I start inviting like streamers that were pretty bigger streamers, I guess, at the point. This episode, I had so much lag and dropped frames. It was horrible. This is when I met Miztech. And you could tell by the stream itself, it did not hold very well. It was constantly stuttering. It was such a mess. Here's the MogTalk logo that was sort of created afterwards. Yeah, for 3 frames per minute. But this is when I met her, and I said, hey, I want to start meeting people in the community and talking to them. And Miztech gave me the time of day. Right? This was episode 10. Yeah, now a double mom at that too, right? And so I met Miztech here, and then I just started bringing on topic experts, statics, right? Started talking about statics here. Yeah, that was MogTalk episode 10. So long ago. And then we started talking about the story. You know, again, Adagio and Gilly came on. It was kind of just holding up that guest place, but all these episodes here, self-centered. I don't know what that was about. Maybe we were just talking about ourselves or something. And just we kept doing this. And I tried a couple of different other things. Like I would throw on just other game nights that we did and stuff. Kerr would come on. Then I started talking about job changes. This is our 5-hour show. We brought on Joe Never Fails here. We spent 5 hours talking about job changes in Heaven's Ward. That was an insane one. Right after that episode, we bring on our buddy Zeno. Our buddy Zeno came on. Episode 16. And this is the first time he was on a podcast. And you know, his whole thing was like man mode, all this stuff, and so we just had a really good conversation with him, and it worked out well. I didn't know anything about interviewing people. I just knew I wanted to do it. And Zeno was out there. He made his video about Warriors. He started getting to streaming and everything. He just started doing a lot of stuff. Yeah. But that was fun. It was fun to meet Zeno. It was fun to, and again, these are people that like, I've just so long. We've just been around so long together now. Xeno and Miztech, and just a handful of people that I just meet them through MogTalk, right? And we did other episodes. Let's see, let's go down a little bit more. We brought on a few people. Milo, if you guys remember Milo, he came in on the 17th episode. He's not around anymore. He's doing his own thing now. Yeah, when it was called Frosty_TV. Yeah. And Pook, you know, it's really sad. I go back and I can find episodes of Pook coming on and talking to me and everything else. And that still hits pretty hard. But Pook was a big part of MogTalk as well. I definitely miss him for sure. But we did go on and we started just changing the format. You can see how the format just kind of evolves from what it was back here. And I just start playing with it because I don't know what else to do. Like, I'm like, you know what? I kind of like this format a little bit better. And that's all I could do. First year is just testing everything out, changing what we're doing. I got family streamer Raze to come on and say fuck on the stream. I don't know why, but that's what we did. This is back when we did Alexander, and again, you can see we still have Gilly and Adagio here, and we're bringing on a whole bunch of different people. Gilly starts to fall off a little bit. Mr. Happy comes on finally. Episode 31. Here's my buddy. And we just talked about him being happy out in the world. Xeno looked a lot different. Happy's still kind of around the same, right? Happy's doing a lot to look different now, though. He has tons of muscles. But yeah, this was so long ago. Episode 31. Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't recognize Xeno in that one, to be fair. So let's keep going. We're going through, basically, I'm going through the first year here, guys. And you can see, again, format's kind of changing on here. We're doing whatever. There's an episode 35 for Halloween. I came on with a dog mask as vampire and read scary stories. I wanted to do a Halloween episode. It was so good. And you can see Zeno's over here in chat. He's like, what the fuck? But yeah. It's so realistic, it's terrifying. Oh no. Why stay? Yeah. Yo, what's up, shrimp and grits? I don't think that text-to-speech will fortunately go on the VOD, but thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, what's up? So yeah, just continuing down here, man. This whole year was me experimenting and figuring out what I wanted to do. And then eventually, you know, we started talking about healing. We had Kerr host a show, holiday giveaway stuff. This is when our co-hosts started to fall off. Miyuni's in here on the healing show as well. You know, I'm interviewing people about player burnout, tanks. We're having conversations about tanks. Layla comes on with Xeno. Wait a minute, is this Arthur's? Is this when Arthur's first came on the show? Let me go back. Yeah, I think so. Episode 43. This is Arthur's and Xeno. I don't know if this is me making them meet. I don't know what that was, but yeah, Xeno is back. Arthur's, and we were having our conversation about the state of the game, Party Finder, relics, and it was crazy. Yeah. Revealing your only, yeah, exactly. I will, Mark. 30 years younger than what he did in 14. Yeah. All right. So let's go back. So mainly, this is what I'm going over here is this was all the how do I make a podcast era of MogTalk? And even now, I don't really know, right? But I had a huge episode here, and in this episode, we did 30 or 50, episode 50. That was a year of MogTalk. We missed a few weekends, whatever. A year of just coming in here, grinding out MogTalk, and having episodes, and just talking about whatever I could. And at the end of that episode, I was crying. I was in tears, right? Because I was thinking, I have never fucking dedicated myself to something for a whole year of my life and had any success at all, right? And it was a huge accomplishment to just stick out that year of learning what I wanted to do with MogTalk, learning what I wanted to do, everything. So it was huge for me. Let me see. I don't know if I have the beginning of that episode. Let me see. We talked about EU. Oh yeah, here's the MogTalk logo that he evolved into, that I stuck with for actually quite a while. Let me pull that up. This is the MogTalk logo that we had for like years, before we changed to the most recent one that we had. And it was good. It was good. It was roughly drawn up by Kerr. I mean, there was one more. I think there was one more logo. Let me see if I can find one other logo that we had before we went to that logo. I think maybe here. Yeah, right here. This was the one before that one. This is the MogTalk logo we used there. But again, that whole year was just evolving. Yeah, Cryo from back in the day. That was so long, dude. What about the Buff Moogle? The Buff Moogle that was a joke. That's a joke, Lizzie. But yeah, this is way back in the day that we did this. Gilly actually made this one for me. And then let me see if I could pull up episode 50. Give me just a second here. I can go over that too. Yeah, I have it kind of out of order. I wasn't so great at this stuff back then. Introduction to the show. So what I did for the introduction of the show is I played this video here of 50 episodes of MogTalk, and then it just kind of scanned through every single one of them, getting like a soundbite from each one. All right, and we just did that, and I put a lot of work into it. I put a lot of work into making that whole beginning there too. Oh, I don't know anything about YouTube. Yeah, we did for TwitchCon. It was the TwitchCon. But yeah, going back, I want to pull up 50. Let me pull up 50 again. And yay, 59. And I just stuck with this new format for quite a while, actually. Right here. You can see me kind of like teary-eyed and like just trying to like hold this shit together, because this was crazy. It was again super insane for me to somehow make it to that point, and people showed up and people were talking to me about it, right? And it was my first achievement, content creation, is sticking out through this whole thing. So yeah, I was really proud of it. I was really proud of it. But yeah, that's Kerr. For those, she doesn't really show up anymore on stuff, but that's Kerr. It was so long ago. She's kind of busy with work. Maybe one day she'll come back into Final Fantasy. But the reason this whole, literally, she's the reason why MogTalk exists. She's the catalyst for everything that is here. She's the reason I went to FanFest. She's the reason I started playing this game. So it is all thanks to her, and she probably is regretting it at this point. She's like, "Oh, stupid." But no. Then I guess as we went on through a lot of these other episodes, this is when I started getting really in depth with like melee episodes and just bringing on different people. And again, I knew kind of what I wanted to do with MogTalk. I knew exactly the idea that I had behind the future of the show. And I wanted to bring on people. I knew how the format went. We did conversations about the JP community, conversations about raid interactions, all this stuff that is part of what the show is doing now. Is based off of what I've learned through that first year. So let's see, 2014. I'm making sure. Okay. So during all these episodes, I guess it's important to note that I was talking to like people with the world race too, right? This was part of like a huge part of what I was doing was bringing on people to get in really in depth about jobs, about everything else, but part of it was the world race as well. And that started the whole arc. I mean, we started with MogTalk, we've connected with so many people in the community, and it literally just bled into other things. And the other thing was, one of the other things was the world race. Did MogTalk turn out as you expect it back then? I didn't know what to expect, so I don't think it did anything that I planned for it to do, right? It was just, I wanted to make a podcast, and I made a podcast, and that was it. that was honestly it. I wouldn't say MogTalk is what I envisioned it would be. It became what it is now because of the Final Fantasy XIV community, and that's it. It evolved. It was like this thing that just molded into what fit right with me and talking to people in the community. Doesn't mention Elden Ring deaths. Yeah, no, not at all. But let's go back here. So you can see, again, talking to people in the raid, and we went through this for a while. We did lore episodes, everything that you come to expect with MogTalk, we were doing that. But I do get asked about the world race a good bit. And the world race, again, I was having MogTalk episodes about, what was happening. Let me see if I can find a world race episode. I don't know. I brought on Layla, who was in the world race, right? But I don't think that I had a direct conversation about it. Yeah, I'm not seeing one in here. About world first progression. Okay, here we go. So this is an episode that I did where I brought Layla and Chia on, and this is a world race progression. Let me do a quick little peek down here. April 11th, 2016. April 11th, 2016. This was before I started tracking the world race. And I brought on Chea and I brought on Layla, and we just discussed, what was going on. This was around the era of, let me see, 2000 in April. This is either right before or right after Midas. Midas race. I can't remember. I can't remember. I have to go back and look at the dates exactly. But that was when I started getting more involved with it, was just literally having these conversations. And then at some point, since I'm talking to all these people, that do the race, I noticed there's no tracking of it, right? People would post stuff on Twitter and they'd be like, oh, this is the first team that cleared. Oh, this is the second team that cleared. And people in conversations would say, hey, yeah, they cleared first, or hey, yeah, they cleared second or something. But it didn't go too far and deep into it. It was just, these guys posted, they cleared it first. They have proof of a screenshot. And so at some point, I said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if somebody tracked this stuff, just made a list, and put this shit together, and tried to organize this in some way? And so that's what I did. I created a post on Reddit. Let me see if this comes across okay. I created a post on Reddit here, and I asked them if they wanted to sign up and let me know they were racing for whoever could clear the race in 3.4 creator tier. and get it first. And so you can see Layla down here saying pulling for a nerd scream in 3P. For anyone who might not know what that is, nerd scream, when someone cleared for the first time, I don't know if it was in Midas or it was Gordius, someone else knows better than I do, but the team that cleared, which I think was Layla's team, they had a nerdy scream of just cheerful, yeah, I cleared, this is amazing, right? And you just hear it. I wish I could pull it up. I'm sure somebody has it somewhere. Probably find it. And it became a meme because people thought that was the name of the team. Nerd Scream, Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, let's throw this up here. Final Fantasy 14, Alexander 44 Savage, world first clear, nerd scream. And they were saying that the scream was a nerd sound, right? Let's see if this even plays. Alright. Yeah, it was just literally, I'll put it on here.
Come on. 50K, 50K, that's all it is. 50K.
Come on, guys. Come on. Carnage, come on.
20K.
Come on.
We fucking did it! Your fucking weapon, you piece of shit.
It was pretty good. But you could feel that, right? I mean, you guys could feel that. You could feel that. That energy. And man, that fight took a while, right? That took a while. Weeks. It was one of the longest Savages ever. And so it was pretty funny because that was posted, just a soundbite of it, and they were considered the Nerd Scream raid. And so that's where all that joke came from, if you ever hear about it. Yeah. Back in the days, man. Yeah, but yeah, no, we started this, I just asked if people wanted to sign up, right? And this is the Google Sheet. This is the Google Sheet here. It's cut off a little bit, sorry. Let me see if I can squish it, if that helps. No, that doesn't help at all, that makes it worse. Let me pull this over a little bit and stretch it back out. But yeah, it's the first part, and we're just tracking it, and this is just a Google spreadsheet. And this is just so I could keep track of. This is the most we've ever tracked it ever, right? This was the most that anyone's ever tracked racing in Final Fantasy 14. The start of it, and it was awesome, man. It was an experience because people were just so excited to just say they cleared it, and it was humbling to me too that for some reason everyone was like, "Yeah, Frosty tracking this makes sense, right?" And that started the whole arc of the World Race Guy stuff. That was it. And I wouldn't be doing streams about the World Race without that initial just like, it would be cool, right? And I think, again, same thing with MogTalk. It would be cool to do that. World Race, it'd be cool to track the stuff there and just have that. And I could throw together some things on a spreadsheet, and it's good enough to give someone a platform for something. And so that is where the World Race started at. And during all of this, you know, it kind of went hand in hand with MogTalk. You know, I'm talking to World Race players, I'm talking about in-game rating, I'm talking about all this stuff, and it made sense, right? It was all kind of connected in some way. And that was all like the 2015, 2016 era, the Heavensward era of everything. And then came FanFest 2016. And FanFest 2016 was the first time that I went to an event where people actually knew who I was in some way. People who cared about Final Fantasy 14 would see me and be like, it's that MogTalk guy, right? And it was the first time I experienced it. It was a weird feeling. It was a weird feeling because it's not something I would ever imagine. It's the first time in person I realized stuff that I did was noticed by people I don't know, and they tell me positive things about it in person. That was crazy. That was crazy to me. And then let's see what else. There's other stuff with FanFest 2016. I mean, during this whole period, I was also doing all these podcasts. Let's take a quick peek at what those podcasts look like during this time. Going down, this is the beginning. Deep Dungeon. I had one where I went to a local Comic-Con and I brought a camera and I was recording stuff and I interviewed my buddies out on a couch for one of the episodes. So that was kind of interesting, although no one there really played Final Fantasy. I mean, they did, but you know, it wasn't like the same thing as FanFest. I started making these little funny videos for commercials. The cat butt video that you guys are familiar with, Mewnie's cat, Pewnie's casting guide, right? Just because I wanted to mess around and see these different things and try to like have fun as a content creator outside of MogTalk. I never really did much with this outside of just testing water and having fun with it, because I thought it was funny. But it was a fun time for me. Man, now I'm gonna have to start scrolling a lot. Rogan and stuff. This is when I interviewed Susan Calloway. This is when, you know, at this point I'm interviewing Matt Hilton, who is the manager on the North American community team, and doing these episodes here, which was just insane. I know there's different thoughts about Susan Calloway now. But at that time, it was different, and it was the first time I've interviewed someone in person like that. And so it was insane for me. I went to the concert there. She sounded great too, but unfortunately, you know, and that is something that I probably should talk about too. Is when you do a podcast and you content create where you're interacting with people for 9 years. Not everyone you interact with is going to end in a positive light. You'll see that throughout handfuls of episodes, right? There's like just years and years, hundreds of people I've talked to, because I have to be able to not be so reserved that I don't talk to people who might turn out to be in a bad light later in the future, right? And so you can go back into the episodes. Like, one time I brought on this guy on one of my world race shows, and he talked shit about the developers. He said they didn't play their own game, and later Yoshida heard that, and he said, when I interviewed him, he was like, "Hey, please try to be nicer to me." I can't remember who that was. Sendoff might know. Sendoff might know who that was. But it was a bit back, you know. That happened. You know, I haven't had a lot of interviews since then, so there could be something to it. There could be something to it. But yeah, this is, you know, same thing. This was getting kind of crazy for me. Like, this whole second year, going in person to events, doing interviews with like community members that work for Square Enix. You know, having all these different kinds of conversations with people, the artists that are involved. Here's Sophie back at TwitchCon. This is what you were talking about earlier, dude. I interviewed Kevy and Sophie at TwitchCon way back when, and that was one of the few in-person times I did interviews. Stuck? No. I haven't ever abandoned one. I fucked up some episodes for sure. I absolutely screwed up some episodes. Yeah, and I had to figure out how to hold it and everything. You know, this was all amateur equipment stuff. But yeah, no, it's you know, it's I had to figure out how to really make stuff work with this live interview stuff. But it was fun. It was fun to do this, right? It was me going to that next level experiment. First year was figuring out MogTalk. Second level is what else can I do, right? How do I do stuff? I don't think you held the camera. I think Kerr was handling it the whole time, if I remember right. But yeah, that was so long ago. Let me go back here again. It'd be, I would love to do live interviews again, but the situation just has to be convenient for it. I can't like fly people out for those interviews, right? But yeah, then we started talking about FanFest. We did this instead of Discord, right? World Race with Angered here. Instead of we had TeamSpeak still. Then I did the FanFest thing where I interviewed people at FanFest as well. You can see Layla here again. World Racers here. Goka. PS3, yeah. Back in just a random hotel lobby, having these conversations and stuff. Oh, I need to do this a little bit better. I know how to do this better. All right. So I don't have to scroll every single time back down. But yeah, this was FanFest. FanFest was intense thing for me. Mostly FanFest 2016 again. It was the first time that I met people in real life who recognized me from what I did on the internet. I was doing in-person interviews. I went on stage for a PvP event, and this is kind of the start of my PvP arc, right? In 2016. And I am the reason my team lost on stage. It was peak of fashion. Okay. Yeah. It was what I lost on stage. And what happened is we were playing, and if you guys remember Feast, you both had your own base, whatever, right? And I ran to the enemy's team base instead of me going back to my base for safety. I was running to safety, but ran to the enemy's team instead of our team's base. And they killed me, and it was over. If I wouldn't have died, it would have been a draw. Although Matt Hilton has told me he has no clue what they would have done if it was a draw, because there was no way they could do a rematch. They didn't have the time for it or anything else. So it was, Square Enix appreciated me throwing that match, I guess, in some way, right? So it was funny because I did it, and my opponent was actually someone who works on a community team now, too. So it was interesting experience. I left the stage. I left the stage immediately. I went to the hotel room, and this was a moment in time that I kind of wish I could change, but I still debate if I did it right or not. The plan was on stage to propose to Kerr. But I think I was just thrown off by just what was happening in that situation, and I didn't do it. So I went to the hotel room, Kerr came up to the hotel room, and then I proposed to Kerr in the hotel room. She later told me if I proposed to her on stage, she would have told me no. That's not true. She wouldn't have said it. She wouldn't have done. But that's what she told me. Because she wouldn't want to be in that kind of embarrassment. You know, it would have been an interesting situation. I wanted to do it though. So, you know, if we believe that's true, I'm married now because I made a decision in the moment. How about that? The thing is, it wasn't a lot of pressure. Here's the thing. Quick side tangent. When we talk about public proposals, you only do that if you know what the answer is. You never do it if you don't know what the answer is. If you feel confident in that answer, go out. But if you don't know what the answer is, don't ever put someone in that situation. And I think I knew kind of what the answer was going to be in that situation, so it would have probably been fine. But yeah. So I'm a very social person. She's not as much of a social person, which is why she's not around a lot at the moment with a lot of stuff that we do here too. We kind of like we complement each other like that. But that's just an interesting side note to all of that. But yeah, that went on. We went into again my next bit of this, where I made it all the way up to episode 100. I did the exact same thing, tons of different segments here, brought people on, went crazy with it. This is when Zeno came on and he wanted to do some crazy show and tell with how paladins need to be changed. Right? Here we go. Divine Veil, no healing requirement, and it applies to self. How about that? Negates penalty of Shield Oath. We don't even have penalties on Shield Oath anymore. Celtron blocks every attack for 3 seconds. Is a little bit different. We don't have TP anymore. So here's a lot of stuff that we were talking about. We had fun with it. We had a lot of fun with it. Let me see. There's an image I think that we threw on the screen too at some point. I don't know if I can find it here. Maybe it wasn't in here. But yeah, no, it was a fun time. Oh, I messed up again. But yeah, it was a fun time doing that episode, because I felt so much more confident at episode 100. It was this second, third year of me doing these podcasts. I did 100. I was just like, holy crap, I'm doing this now, right? It's just part of what I do. It's part of who I am. MogTalk is now part of me. And I'm talking to people at Square Enix. I'm doing all this stuff here at episode 100. Again, bringing people on. And at some point, I'm like, you know, this feels good. This feels right in a way. You guys want to see Demo and Drac? Hold on. God, I did it again. There you go. They have it over here. Demo and Drac right here from back in the day. This was episode 100. To Dying in Elden Ring? Yeah. And what's crazy is, guys, I've been talking for nearly an hour, and I'm only on at episode 100 of how I got here. So we might speed it up a little bit here, but these are like the important parts. I mean, again, talking about the world race, talking about kind of how that first bit started there, talking about how I got involved with FanFest and MogTalk. This is all like the beginning. The meat of, you know, what I was doing with this podcast. So let me go back. Sorry, I'm scrolling down here just so I get to a little bit past 100. And again, I stayed on the same kind of format for it for a while. I felt pretty comfortable with it at that point. But there was a point throughout all of this where I actually had I was invited to the Stormblood FanFest. It was the first time Square Enix reached out to me that way. And I said, nah, I'm alright. Not exactly that. That's not exactly what happened. But they invited me to Stormblood FanFest. And at this whole time, I'm working the whole time with all of this stuff. I couldn't make it. Work was asking a lot of me, and I've always worked jobs where they ask a lot of me, and I have to do a lot of hours for it. And so somehow it overlapped with the one time they asked me to go out of country, and I went to Ukraine. So I was in Ukraine for 2 weeks, and the Stormblood FanFest was right in the middle of that. And I couldn't cancel that work request of me because I needed to pay bills, right? I needed to survive. But what I did have is that MogTalk at that point, you know, I'm not just a streamer at this point. I'm doing everything on Frosty_TV at this point, though. But MogTalk is an entity, right? It's a content creation entity in some way, even though it's just mostly me. MogTalk is the focus of everything. And so I said, hey, I can't come, but I could send a representative for MogTalk, which is completely different if it was the other way around where the stream was completely about me. And they said, yeah, you know what, that's fine. So who else but Layla, Mr. World First, who's been part of all this stuff that I've been doing throughout hundreds of episodes, come on tons of times. He went out and did this. This is me in Ukraine, by the way. I was me in a hotel in Ukraine, and I did an episode with him discussing about my Q&A that I asked him. I gave him questions to go and ask Yoshida, and he went out there, and there's just a handful of people who were over there at the media tour. You see Happy's in there. I got people from Reddit. There's a handful of other people there. Miztech's there and everything. And he acted as my representative, and it meant a lot to me that he did that. I'm sure he enjoyed being out there too, but it was one of those things where I needed help, and the community was there, and I could make something. MogTalk is a big part of what I hope, at least some people are. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase that right. MogTalk is part of Final Fantasy XIV community, and the people who come on and help MogTalk are part of MogTalk. And so Layla is part of MogTalk here. And so we just had a discussion about everything, the Q&A, his experience there. They were making big changes to PvP at the time, and everything else. And that was a huge moment for me, to be completely honest, because that's when I knew Square Enix thought of me as a content creator. I was lucky enough to be invited to these events. They were coming on and talking to me on the show, and all this other stuff, and it started to feel way more real. Started to feel like things were like setting in. So yeah, that was what was that episode again? That was episode 107. 107 episodes, guys. So if you're looking for a metric there. And we continued on the same stuff for quite a while. The World Race, you know, we did another World Race shortly after that show. And the only reason I did it is because people asked me to do it. There is no other reason for me to do the World Race other than the community came to me and asked me to do it. Because it was just work, right? It's just go on Twitter, be awake when the servers start, just stay there, look at Twitter, look at Twitch, look at Reddit, look at everything, and just gather as much information as you can, put forums out there for people to send stuff in there, and just do everything you could. Just do all of this work just to track this stuff and throw it in a Google spreadsheet, because it was fun. It was fun to track the stuff. It was fun to be involved with it, and it created a platform for people to visibly watch the race in some way. So yeah. Stoic, I would never have the guts to say something like that. The only parts people blame me for the 8v8 and Feast being removed, because I've mentioned that to people at Square. That I thought it was pointless because bots just use it to farm EXP, so on, right? There's little things. I'm sure there's some things that have like kind of been affected, right? There's been some things that people have said on the show that made it up to Square. They've listened to the World Race conversations. They've listened to a lot of different things. They get translated over the JP side, and they read those articles and everything else. Yeah, there's a handful of things, but I can't say there's a lot. I know they're very familiar with the World Race because they take the team names directly from the World Race spreadsheet when they did the tweets before and put them on Twitter. So there is an effect, right? You can see some effect, but changes within the game, I wouldn't say it's because of MogTalk. The community was discussing what we were discussing. So literally it could be just people were talking about it in general, and it also was talked about on the show. So I would never, don't think I could ever say that MogTalk has influenced any changes within the game. I could just say that these conversations were happening, and we had them on the show as well. But yeah, so, oh yeah, and then I started having translated episodes where I brought people on from Japan, which was insane, right? Really starting to feel the weight of all that stuff. And the first Ultimate came out, UCOP. We did that race too. No one knew what the hell was going on with UCOP. It was the first Ultimate race, and it took weeks to clear that. And it was one fight, and it was this weird situation where it's like, what the fuck do I do? No one's streaming it, all right? We're just hoping that news pops up sometime, somewhere. Someone will message me, because I'm not staying up for, 2 weeks straight waiting for someone to give some kind of information on progression. And it became a whole phenomenon, though. I mean, ultimately, it's like the big thing that a lot of people go and care about, because it's the hardest content in the game. But that's when we first experienced it, and it was weird. It was weird going from 2 days to 2 weeks. But anyways, during that time in 2017, after FanFest, after those UCOB races, after all that stuff was all building in the background. By the way, after the World Race stuff started, you could generally assume everything I was doing from then kind of went hand in hand with the World Race and with MogTalk evolving. Those two things kept happening, right? Throughout years and years and years. And now the other thing that I was doing, of course, I went to PvP on stage. I did that. And I was talking to PvPers that were on the show. And then I decided to start getting into PvP. And I got really, really into PvP. And so a lot of people will ask me how I started commentating for PvP. Why am I on stage? Why is Frosty there? Well, I worked my butt off, to be honest with you. I worked my butt off to be good at PvP. This is Season 6. Season 6 of PvP. And there's Mr. Frosty, 48th on Aether. Top 100 here, Diamond ranked, which was the top rank back then. And I did that for a few seasons. You see Brian Ricardo is actually down here too. Hey, look, I'm better than Brian. You guys see that? This screenshot tells you I'm better than Brian here at PvP. If you were ever curious about it, here's your answer. So yeah, this was yeah, Angelus was back here too. Angelus was really hardcore into PvP. I'm better than him too. Ah, there you go. Ah. So yeah, this was I did this for season after season after season, where I just constantly just PvP'd and tried to get good at it. And I even got to a point to where I created my own PvP Discord. PvP Discords have had just drama and all kinds of situations and everything else. But for a while there, I hosted a PvP Discord where people would talk about everything with matches and everything. But at some point, it just became too much. It's not something I could handle. It's not something I wanted to be the moderator of. It's not something I wanted to. I need to invest my time in other things. And there were people who were doing PvP Discords better than me, and I kind of just let that stuff fade away and let the other Discords kind of take over. But I was really deep into the world of the PvP community. I did interviews with Yoshida about PvP, where I asked him questions about it. I played it all the time. I would do streams where I would PvP, and after a match, I would go back, and then I would put it in slow motion, get a marker right on the screen, and do John Madden, like, little images and shapes and drawings to say what was happening in the match, where decisions went wrong, where things got better, right? How things turned around. And I just had these really in-depth overviews of every PvP match, because when you queued up for PvP, you were queued for like maybe 10, 20, 30 minutes before your next match. And so between those matches, I would take that previous match and just analyze it. And so it was a product of a lot of that stuff, which led to commentating in Final Fantasy 14. And when I'm talking about how MogTalk, you know, was kind of the seed for a lot of these things, where I'm bringing on people from World Race, where I'm bringing on people from PvP, where I'm bringing all that stuff. Again, it's in that same situation. I'm talking to Square Enix. I'm talking to everyone. I'm having reasonable conversations with a lot of different people who are in PvP at Square Enix and everything else. And at some point, I assume they're like, maybe Frosty could do commentating for PvP, right? Maybe that's a good fit. Plays PvP, he analyzes it, right? He gets in these conversations. And so they invited me to do it over at the Shadowbringers era of FanFest, which is 2018, 2019. And that was insane for me to think that I was going to be at some point on stage, never any professional commentating ever. I've never done it before. But they invited me to do it, and this was a chance that I was like, yeah, you know what? I kind of want to do this. I want to see if I can do it. But I needed to take it super seriously. And so at that point, in the summer before all of this stuff was happening, me and my commentating party at the time, partner at the time, plus one, just sat there, went over old matches and practiced. And we just said, who is the crowd we're talking to? You know, do they know what PvP is? Do they know any of this other stuff, right? When it comes down to what they're seeing on screen. And so we adapted to how we did it. We got used to, like, the signals. When he'd stop talking, I'd start talking, you know, the color commentation, just everything. And we made sure it worked for months and months and months and months and practiced. And it paid off. It definitely did. Because I feel like in 2018, we did a pretty good job over with the North American commentating. So I actually, I wonder if I can bring that up. Give me a second. I don't know if it's going to actually look good, because I don't think I have it cropped in a way to fit Twitch's video size. But if we go to Final Fantasy 14 stream, and we go to 2018 Las Vegas, right here looks like where it's at. I saw myself in the screen there. This was the first time I did PvP commentating on stage. And that's Neha, who was hosting the event, who's the voice you heard earlier. And that's me and Plus over there on stage for the very first PvP event ever. And it was humbling in a way, but it was insane hearing it. And there's Clem. Fucking love Clem. He doesn't work there anymore, but he's an awesome person. There's Shilly. And they did this for the teams and everything as they're coming up. They had these little different, I guess, images here for everybody to kind of go through all this stuff. But yeah, it was surreal being on stage and having this big caster mic on my head and actually doing this in front of a stage of thousands of people. But we made it work. We made it work. And this felt like an accomplishment, right? This felt like a huge accomplishment. I never thought I'd be on the stage in any official capacity at all. But this was the very first time that happened. And the other thing that, let me see if I can find it. When we were, this video, let's see if we go over a little bit here. This video I created. And it has my voice talking on it. And they played this on a giant screen before the matches started. And I made this video because I didn't want to explain Feast live. I knew I was going to mess it up. And so I said, hey, you know what's a great idea? Let me make a video where It is explaining everything visually, concisely, and it's just perfect. There's no reaction in a moment. It's just exactly the way it needs to be. And so I made this video for them. It wasn't great resolution. I didn't know what I was doing, but it was good enough for what was going on then, right? And so it felt pretty cool to see that they took something I created and they put it on screen. And it was it's a little surreal, especially again because my voice is like on top of this. And this is where it gets interesting over at the JP FanFest too later. But this was NA, and so after that we did, I guess, a good job. Play the audio? No, I don't want to hear my voice. I want to hear my voice. We also went to Europe. We went to Paris. And they invited us there to do commentating as well. And you see we have Barbara up there too, who had a huge mohawk. I was the shortest person. Jesus Christ, how short am I? I'm average height, but the two people next to me are tall. Okay, guys, with a mohawk. They got a mohawk on their head. They're taller than me. So don't hold that against me, guys. I just look really short in comparison to the other people that are around me. But yeah, here again, you know, it was a great event. It was the first time I went out of country for stuff. Like, they flew me out there to do it. That was crazy, right? And they also, at some point, I think, played my video here too. I don't know where it was. Maybe it wasn't on stream. Maybe it was on stream. I don't know. But this was the EU FanFest. So that was crazy. This was on my birthday. So hold on if I can find it here. There's a moment that's like really awkward. All respect to Clem. All right. Oh, we're gonna play the audio.
Yeah, thank you. And the last but not least, he was among the winners of the Fan Festival 2016.
Not here.
So just a few words to check how's the mood. Bar, you and me, we commentated the semi.
Over the last few months.
In Paris, so
It's been. Let me see if I can find it.
Happy birthday.
There it is.
Sing.
They sung "Happy
Yes, you can.
Birthday" to
Because I
me
think
on
it was
stage.
Thursday yesterday.
yes, happy birthday, Frosty.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to you.
It sounded so bad.
Happy birthday.
I walked off. It's like I'm done.
Happy birthday, Frosty. Happy birthday.
You can see me just like painfully standing there. Thanks, Clem. Thanks, Clem.
Thank you very much, that's very
I know.
Oh my God. It was so awkward. But you know, we went through that whole period, and it was again crazy to be out there at Paris and interact with everybody, and it was still a great experience in general. But like, hey, Regal, thank you, Regal, for the
%,
What did that even say? That was a weird text to speech. It doesn't even, you don't hear it on, you guys don't hear it. I hear it. Don't worry about it. We're going to cut all that out. It doesn't show here because I apparently don't have it. Oh, did you hear it? Oh, crud. I don't know why. It was just some random noise. Anyways, thank you, Regal. I appreciate that a lot. It really does mean a lot. Thank you, Regal. But yeah, looking at the Tokyo Fan Fest, this is where I didn't get it. You know, they didn't send me out to Tokyo. They had other commentators that were like professional, like comedians and everything else that was out there for the Tokyo Fan Fest. Let me see if I can pull that up. %, yeah, something like that. I think it's broken for that. Let me click on 6 videos here. Which one of these was PvP? Maybe this one. Yep, here it is. This was part of it. I don't know if this was during. They took my video, I created a video for them. And they took it and then they spoke over it with Japanese and added Japanese assets to it. I gave them all the files for it. And this was pretty insane for that, you know, again, something that I made just because I did again, the reason I made this video is because I didn't want to do something. I made this video because it made my life easier and it got me out of having to do something I wasn't comfortable doing. And I guess it helps some other people out too. So that was crazy. That was crazy to me. So this is when they played it over here. Where is it at? You can hear them talking over it. Hold on.
勝利するために重要なのはメダルに回収による非ダメージ上昇をどのように扱うかが肝となります。戦略を誤ると敵に使用を送ることになるでしょう。はい、実況中に次の4つの言葉を
Yeah, and they just went through the whole thing, explaining it.
1つ目は
If I can skip it
通称
through it.
を与えた派と
Yeah. We'll keep going over. Hold on. And I was watching this live. And at some point, I don't know when it was. And maybe it was before the video started. Yeah, it was before the video started. The timeline is just a little bit off here. They put my face on the screen at JP FanFest to give me credit for making the video. And this was crazy to me because everybody in Japan was like, who the fuck is this guy, right? They didn't know who I was. They did show it again at some point, and I'd probably have to search through some videos here during the finals to re-explain everything. Because they did separate stages for the JP FanFest for PvP, but at the end they had it on the main stage. And Yoshida was over there, and he was saying nice things, and they were all saying nice things. And to me, I'm like, what the fuck? Right? That's surreal. That's surreal. To think that you made a video, you made some assets for a video, you sent that over there, you did a little bit of PvP commentation for a couple events, and you have developers and everyone else saying nice things about you with your face on the screen on Tokyo FanFest, and just, it feels insane. So when I go back and I think about this shit, this is when, like, it's hard for me to get a big head over it, because I have so many of my own personal insecurities, right? But it just reminds me that what I'm doing can be kind of cool sometimes, right? I have done some things I should be proud of, and I feel good about that. And I am proud of that stuff, right? I am proud. It's so awkward to talk about. It's so weird to talk about it, because that's not the kind of person I want to be. I don't want to be the person that, like, brags about stuff and does everything. But I feel like it's important to feel good about some of your accomplishments in some way. And I would consider that an accomplishment. And I appreciate everyone at Square Enix, whoever gave me a chance to, like, be a part of things like that, right? It might be a dream until it happened. Shoot, dude. No? Not really. I mean, Yoshida, that would be it, but I've never got him as an actual guest on the show in real time. The only, yeah, he would be the only guest. My dream would be to do MogTalk at a FanFest with Yoshida. be on stage for MogTalk and have Yoshida and some of the other developers there as guests. That would be the dream, but that hasn't happened. All right, I think that would be amazing. The closest thing is by proxy. Closest thing I ever did with that is by proxy, and when Alex Mukala and Huxley by the Keek, why am I messing that up? I had them on the show a couple times, and this is when they were starting out. They were getting really popular, you know, with their videos and everything else, and they were getting retweeted by the official account. And when I was talking to Alex, he was like, it would be my dream to talk to Soken one day. Just talk to Soken. So I was like, I know someone I can at least ask. And I sent that person an email, and because of all the work Alex Mukala and Husky has done, it was such an easy situation for them to say, yeah, we'll give them an interview. And they interviewed Soken. And so if you go to their channel, you can find an interview where they talk to Soken in person with a translator there as well. And that was their meeting of Soken before they blew up even bigger, and they went like way crazier after that too, right? And so it was a really good feeling. And that was something, like, I didn't want to be a part of that personally. It wasn't for me. The only involvement I had was to connect the two pieces. And I had the opportunity to do it, and I just did it. And it felt really good. Maybe one day I'll get that connection with Yoshida. Maybe one day I'll sit down and we'll have that MogTalk interview on stage at FanFest 2025, 2026. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, that was like the whole arc with PvP commentating. It was just, you know, I did so much stuff with MogTalk, talking to the community, so much stuff inside the PvP community at that time to where I could go on stage. And after I went on stage, I've proven myself that I could do a at least decent job commentating PvP. And I think that has helped me in the future with other things I did. The reason I went to the 2023 FanFest over at NA and did commentation there is because my continued work in the community, and because of my past history with, you know, doing a good job on stage. It feels good, I guess, that you have someone that you know has done this successfully and not screwed you over, and you would like that to happen again. That's likely why I was there. Even though when Crystalline Conflict came out, I had to take a pause from everything due to my baby being born, that I didn't get as involved with the PvP community as I was back then. But I was still at least able to get involved enough to be able to do what I did on stage in 2023. So that was the whole arc. That's the whole reason why I do any PvP commentation, is because I put so much work into it originally, and I had all these other pieces of things that I was already doing in the community involved with my other projects. But yeah, going down this here. So that was PvP commentation. We talked about starting the Google spreadsheets, but there's a whole nother segment. And this was the streaming of the world race. Now, I never envisioned that I would be hosting a streamed event for the world race. I always thought a Google spreadsheet was probably the only answer to that, because I didn't have the know-how. I didn't have anything that I thought would make sense to create that event, right? I didn't know what that should look like. And so when we got into that evolution of it, it started to be asked all the time, every single time. And I would say no, every single time, because there's no way I could commit to that, especially with work and everything else. And so I just didn't. But at some point, Method, which I don't know if it exists anywhere. I would love to know if it still exists anywhere. Let's see. We have this. Let me see if that shows horribly on the screen. Announcing a new race to world first. For the first time ever, Method is partnering with 5 top 14 streams to bring you the race to world first Final Fantasy XIV's Edenverse. This was the first streamed Final Fantasy race, and there were so many problems with it that Method hasn't been involved with yet. Again. But there's a whole lot of other reasons for that too. But you can see the cast we had here. Myself, Layla, Miztech, Fold, Solitary, Cleese, Jess, Athos. Who else did we have on there? I think that was it. But this was when they got involved. This was February 2020. Right when COVID hit, by the way. Just to let you know, COVID was starting to be like, holy fuck, COVID, right? This was around the exact same time. And so I said, I can't do it, but I could partner with someone else to do it. Sure, let's see how that goes. And so we got them involved, and I agreed to be a caster. And the thing that I remember the most about that event in particular is the race was about 30 minutes to an hour from starting. And the guy over there I met that said, hey, so where are you putting the tracking at this time? And all I could think to myself is I've been doing this world race tracking for years now on a Google spreadsheet. I have a website that I just built to kind of do that stuff. But I, for some reason, assumed Method would have had that shit figured out so I could commentate and not track the world race while commentating. And so apparently no one thought of that. And I had to sit there and program my website to handle the world race 30 minutes while I'm swearing them up and down in a voice call so angrily. So angrily. Thank you, Blah. So angrily am I doing this stuff. And then we go live and I get it ready to go just in time. And during this whole event, I'm having to manage all of these things that I've, you know, the people, all this stuff that I thought I was just coming on to commentate, right? To be a topic expert. And I'm still running the world race. I'm still doing it all. And it was rough. Cleese remembers, he was there. He was a part of that. It was a frustrating time for me back then. And so they did a lot of artwork. They did a lot of stuff on their channel to bring it to life, right? They did all the production side of everything. But the logistics side, I was very much involved with at this point. And I saw all the pieces of the puzzle of how the stream event could happen, minus the exact details on the production itself. And I said, you know what? I'm not feeling too great after the end of this. And right when this happened, we had, I think, one of the longest breaks in raiding ever because COVID came out and they, in the middle of the expansion, had to delay the patch by months and months and months. Do you think the world race has just continued to grow in its scope after this? Yeah. It has grown since that event, right? And that is 100% because of the community and what we've done so far. So after that happened, you know, I also took a pretty large break from streaming. I took a large break from everything because I went back to school. I went and finished my college degree because I was like, I need to do this so I don't have nightmares at night for all the times that I flunked out of classes, right? So there's a lot of personal stuff kind of built up and going around. Work is changing, COVID stuff's happening. Just life is all kinds of insane at this point. So I took a pretty big break from streaming at that point and doing stuff. I still kept up with the world races. You know, I still kept up with a lot of different things. But I had MogTalk episode 199 done. MogTalk episode 199. Let me see if I can pull that up. Go all the way through these. You know, I got married at some point here too, by the way. before I did all of the funny enough, side note that concludes the side note from previous with 2016 proposing to my wife. Right before NA FanFest 2018, I got married to my wife. So 2 years later, I got married to my wife. 2 years later, right before that next FanFest. And that was around episode 150 or so. And we didn't do anything too special for that. We just did a little bit of discussion here with Layla and everything. You can see here's my feast video, by the way, that I was talking about earlier. Feast introduction, I put it on YouTube as well. But going through, we did tons of episodes. I was invited to the Shadowbringers media tour after all this stuff, where I did some of these videos with no HUDs flying around because I didn't really know exactly what the best way to handle that was. And then we have a whole bunch of videos that I think were broken because I ran into technical issues. But we just kept doing this over and over and over again. MogTalk continued the same. I had the North American team come on again, talk to them, talk to more people about the world race. There's a Paris Games Week time attack, which you guys might not be too familiar with. But that I did commentation for in the middle of the night. Cleese fortunately did give me a little document of just Spark Notes. Of Spark Notes to commentate this time attack event that was happening at Paris Games Week. I won't go too much into that, but there's a whole like just weird little things to kind of like do commentation wise between then and now. Then I had 199 episode here happen, and then I just stopped doing episodes for a bit. We tried doing some fun stuff with some backlog games and everything, and if we look at this and we go back, I did it again, but if we go back here, this was oh geez, let me go back, expand the description. March 9th, 2020 was when I did MogTalk 199. When I did MogTalk 200, I'm going to have to scroll down. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. I've done too many of these episodes. MogTalk 200 was right here. Now I'm going to do this. Open a new tab. How smart is that? September 6th. So from March to September, I didn't have any MogTalk episodes. Now this was a pretty insane episode for me. This is where I went really big with the production. The intro was insane. I love the intro that I made for it. It was my coming back, right? MogTalk, as I graduated school and I decided I was going to come back, and I brought on all my friends, talked to them, and had a huge thing. This is when I did the new logo. I wonder if I have it saved in here. I thought maybe I did. Not here, I guess. Let me see. Oh, clicked on it again. All right, actually, I could go the opposite direction now. It'll be faster to go the opposite direction. So from oldest to new. Yeah, I thought I uploaded it, but maybe I didn't. Where I just did the whole like, our cat sounds like a Zelda character. Yeah, but I had this whole cool introduction that went through all the previous episodes before them, like little segments just adding up all the way to that point. And then boom, there goes the new logo, and it felt good. It felt good. I felt like a real content creator at that point. Yeah, I don't see it in here. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Maybe another time we'll find it and I'll show you guys it. But yeah, this, bring on Husky and Alex up here, and we just have all kinds of episodes continuing on with this. Talk about racing. We finally did that episode. But yeah, anyways, back to kind of where all this stuff was going on. I took a big break after the Method World Race, came back with 200. Then we did the very first world race event that was done grassroots for the last tier of Shadowbringers. And that was a whole experience in itself. Give me a second. Let me see if I can pull that up. I'll mute myself. Hold on. That's horrible. I hate myself. Okay, here we go. That was... I had to figure out the production side of that, which broke my mind. It broke my mind trying to really understand how to keep a stream up for so long. And I'm going to tell you exactly how we did it. It was the jankiest way that you could do it, and it was completely grassroots. But let me find the VOD. I'm pretty sure I have the VOD here of it. Yep. Right here. And was this the end? I think this was the end. We're gonna show this one anyways. Right here. Move it over. Okay. Oh, that's the wrong one. All right, throw it right there. Here we go. So this is when we brought on everybody, and we did everything through voice. We didn't do any cameras at all. You know, we raised money for Child's Play at the time, which was similar to a charity, kind of, in a way, that we're doing now. We raised, like, tons of money, over $10,000 for them, which was crazy to me in this little event that we were throwing together. All of these assets were done by volunteers in the community. You know, the production side, we got Moogle Troop actually involved to help with it a good bit. And we basically had one server that would accept feeds into that server. And then people would stream to these IP addresses that would send it down to that feed. And someone at that computer, which is Moogle Troop, would flip the switch and say, this person's streaming the event now. So multiple people like would have all the OBS assets and everything on their computer themselves. They would stream it. And then when they were done, the other person would turn it on with the exact same assets on their computer, duplicate it. The other person would turn it off, and the person at the production server would flip it over to their feed. And that way we had content creators that were basically volunteering to do the control of the stream and the point of views and everything else for this. And it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing to figure out how to do that. But we made it happen through blood and sweat. We made this happen, and afterwards, like 40 people volunteered, and I realized, holy shit, this is possible, right? Because I have to trust people to do this kind of stuff. I have to track the world race. I have to make sure people are coming on to commentate. I have to make sure the person who's handling the stream is there, and if not, I gotta take over the reins, right? I gotta do the streaming, I gotta do the commentating, I gotta do both. I gotta do mod work in the channel, I gotta do all this stuff. But I had enough people in there that actually helped with so much of that stuff, and that's why, you know, the event has been like this charity fundraising event because we rely on volunteers, and the best way to if you're working with volunteers, I don't want it to just benefit the channel, I want it to benefit a charity, or be a good reason, be a source of good. And that's what the event has turned out, is that it's actually something that does good in the world some way, right? We've raised over $100,000 for children's hospitals. It's crazy to me that we've did that. But this first event, afterwards, it was so stressful figuring it all out, but it proved to me it was possible. It proved to me it was possible. Now, right afterwards, everyone's like, what about Ultimate? You're going to do an Ultimate World Race? Are you ready to do that Ultimate World Race? Nah. Square Enix said no. DSR does not come this expansion. And they did not do a second Ultimate in 5.5, which blew people away. But I'll tell you what, I had no clue at that time how I was going to do what we did on a scale of an Ultimate timeline. So at that point, I was relieved. I was so relieved because I was like, How do we do a 24/7 race with what we just did? With no, like, so many people won't be streaming it, everything else, right? How do we do that? And when they said that, I was kind of sad we didn't get the ultimate, but I was kind of happy that I didn't have to think about that shit anymore. It was free from my mind. I had a big vacation for like a year or so from doing races. I wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. And that's what that was for me. And so again, it turned into even more afterwards. It didn't stay the way that we created it there. We had upgraded it a bit afterwards. But we did that. Did the Endwalker Media Tour. That was a little bit after that as well, which was pretty awesome. That's where I met Asmongold at, which was, to me, was still kind of insane, because I was just talking to him casually while doing groups and stuff with him. And again, people have a lot of different opinions on Asmongold. He has said some really stupid stuff, 100%. But it's still the biggest streamer out there, so it's kind of weird to just be casually talking to this guy in a group and doing Endwalker content with him. Where I played Sage, and people died in the level 81 dungeon because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was just pressing buttons. And imagine dying in an 81 dungeon now because your healer literally has no clue how to heal you. They're just pressing buttons. It was rough. It was rough. But the Endwalker Media Tour happened, and then we went through the whole expansion, the whole start of that. This was all during the I guess era of where all these really big streamers outside Final Fantasy XIV were all coming to Final Fantasy XIV. And it was weird. This is the big blow up for Final Fantasy XIV. And so then we did the world race for Endwalker. Savage #1. And that one we changed up a little bit what we were doing. Let me see if I can find that one for you too, just a clip of it at least, for you to see. But the Savage, that world race, was the biggest event I think that we've ever had. I think we had close to 17,000 people watching it at the same time. It was about 17,000 people, and I didn't know what to really do, right? I never did anything that big before. Let me see if I can pull it up. Right here. Is this it? Asphodelos? Yeah. Right here. We did the same thing before, where we were just kind of having no cams because it made sense, but our production levels went up a little bit. We had somebody kind of helping with a lot of stuff in the background. We raised tons of money for charity yet again. So many people watching this event. It still wasn't like perfect. It was still a little like rough on the edges, but it's still a grassroots production at this point. And but I felt so much more confident going into it because we did it before. The worst case scenario is we'll do it again, but maybe just not as good as, some people might want. But this is the first one we did for Extra Life, I believe. Actually, Chocobo Race 1 was the other one. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, it just started to gradually grow. But I can tell you right after this, I had to take another hard break into Final Fantasy XIV content. I just couldn't do it. It was a really rough time for me because right after this happened, we were in the worst political situation, I think, one of the highest levels of political tension in the world was happening at this time. We had the whole election cycle ending then with like Trump losing the election, people storming the Capitol, right? COVID at its fucking highest, Then my uncle passed away from COVID too, and I was just so angry. I was so angry at just fucking everything about like how the whole world was going at that point. And I had my daughter that was going to be born in a couple of months, and I was thinking, I have to take a break from all of this. My work is, I'm working my ass off. Everything is going insane around me. I'm about to be a father for the first time. And I took a hard break. And I said, all right, this race is done. Now my focus is going to be on my daughter. All right? I need to be the person she needs me to be right now. And nothing ever matters. Which is when DSR came out. And DSR happened, and I couldn't be there. I was going to resign from doing any kind of tracking, but the world race doesn't stop, man. If I'm here, if I'm not here, the world race is still here. So Liffy took up the reins for that event, who's been helping with a lot of events, and he was so amped to do it. And I'm sad we don't have the whole event saved, but we do have like a couple of clips of it, right? Let me see if I can find one of them. I think there was at least a clip. I just don't know where it's at. Holy crap. Maybe, I don't know. Well, okay, I can't find it right now. But we have at least like one clip from it. And DSR happened, and it wasn't a 24-hour event. I wasn't there to support it, but they made what they could with it. All right? This was when a lot of people got huge notice. Arthur's had 24,000 people, I think, watching him, right? It was one of the biggest races out there, and I couldn't be there, and I had that feeling of longing, like I'm so sad I couldn't be there, but that's all after the fact, because in that moment, I was raising a baby. It was like a month old, 2 months old, so I wasn't thinking about it at all. But luckily, people who were already involved in the race wanted something to happen, and they streamed 8 hours a day, 4 days in a row. The race kept going after that. But they had an event, and they still wanted it to happen, and it was amazing to me that people would actually come and still make this event move forward even if I couldn't be there. And it made me understand that the world race is a lot bigger than just me, 100%. I kind of knew that, but it was just proof that this thing will live, whether I'm here or not. There will always be a Final Fantasy XIV world race, always. And so it was a little liberating in some sense, but at the same time, it was kind of scary because it was something that I worked on so much, something that I've been such a huge part of, and not being there, it felt awkward and just a little bit crazy to see it go on with me way in the background. This was also during the Ukraine war too, which again, I went to Ukraine just a few years ago before that happened, and Ukraine was being invaded, and I was just like, God, what is happening in the world? And like, it was rough. It was so rough at that time. That was the darkest period, I think, mentally for me, with just world events and everything, because I took a lot of that stuff personal because I knew people over there and they were being bombed. So that fucked me up. I mean, I'm like, this is all by association, right? I wasn't there. I can never claim to like be anything more but knowing people over there when it was happening, but it was rough. So time went on a little bit more, and I came back and I said, I want to do the Savage World Race. We did the Savage World Race, and we moved forward with that. And that went well again. Again, if we're just seeing these like really decent successes with the World Race, we had a moment of proof of really good first Endwalker World Race. DSR is still there. People are still interested with that. There's still interest with the next World Race. And then what's coming down the line is top. And life is settled enough for me to try to figure out how to do top. And again, I'm working 80 hours a week at my job, but top was something I wanted to do. I want it to happen. I didn't know, how to make that happen. I was so lucky that there was a production company that Liffy introduced me to, that they were just up and coming. They were students making their own company for production and everything, and they wanted to be a part of it, and they could do it reasonably priced in the realm of a volunteer event for it to work, right? So that's when Anadi came involved. And the second piece of that is Mistech came to me and said, hey, it'd be interesting to see if Corsair wanted to be involved. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's see. And I got involved with someone over at Corsair. And then they were willing to offer up that whole... This was the first time we offered prizes to people who were streaming, right? And so I had to figure out how to make all the logistics of prizing people out who made first, but not off stream, right? I had to make rules for it. It became this whole beast of what the world race was, a Google spreadsheet. But now over all these years, it's evolved into this massive beast of this, at that time, 6 days of 24-hour streaming for this event. And it worked. Everything I planned with the interview topics, keeping it up 24/7, having people come and talk, raising money, up $50,000 raised in that. Everything just worked. These years, these just almost near decade of years of just fucking content creation, MogTalk, doing the world race, creating this event, PvP commentation, talking to people, just getting used to like being in these environments, managing 40 people of volunteers, and working with a sponsor, working with like all of this stuff. Top was that point of, holy shit, this is really happening. I put trust in people to do stuff that usually I would do myself because I just need it to work, right? I need it to do this stuff. And it succeeded. And I felt so good. At the end of those 6 days, I was like at the highest of like elation of just like, this is success. We did so good. We raised so much money for charity. All these people who are involved are happy. Everyone's happy. There's just nothing but content around, right? It's just everybody is in a good state. And I wish I could have kept it streaming, but I didn't have any more time I could take off. And I just had to end the stream. And I said, all right, I'm stopping streaming now. The next day, I had to walk into my office and I wanted to vomit. I couldn't even think. I was going from this to being in an abusive work environment where I was overworked and doing everything that I could to just like keep them alive and happy. And I'm not happy here with this job. I was so happy where I was, but within 8 hours, I'm back to fucking death, right? Just death in life, just career-wise, everything was just not good. And it was like falling off of a cliff. It was so insane to go from, it was jarring. When I got to the office and I just continued to work, and my boss was horrible. It was one of those political environments. It was absolutely the person I was working under he was political. What mattered was the company politics of everything, and it sucked, and I couldn't stand it. And then a month later, I was let go. I was let go of this job that I put so much work into, and I let all these other things fall to the backside, right? I put this job in front of all this other shit, and they just let me go at the end of that. And it felt, I was just like, am I a bad worker? Why did I kill myself so much? You have all these like thoughts of just doubt and just all these horrible things like going through your mind about what was happening then. And then I said, fuck it. I'm going to full-time stream right now. I'm in a position to where I could do it. And I started full-time streaming. No, Stoic, I haven't. Then I started full-time streaming. And, you know, I wanted the incentive. So it's funny. This is the most recent part of this whole how did I get here stuff. I had to do top, right? That was the thing. I had to do top. And I was going to give full-time streaming a shot because I was just in a situation where there's so much just blow up from the world race that it made it where the channel was in a good spot to do full-time streaming. So I did that. You know, that's been evaluated. It's been evaluated again in a time, and it's still being an evaluation if I'm going to be full-time streaming, just because until I'm like doing really well of streaming, it's always an evaluation, right? But I decided to take that step. And then I started doing it every day. I spent the whole last year figuring out full-time streaming. I spent over a year so far trying to figure out how that would work. I put together that top group that took 7 months, who some of the people in chat right now are part of that top group, 7 months to clear that fight. And I don't know how that went so positively, but in the end, we found 8 people who were just happy to be around each other and happy to be doing content together and get these victories together. Even if it wasn't for them, it was the people they were around. They were wanting these victories for them, right? And it's so rare to get a static where everyone is just happy to be around the other people there, right? And that is a huge accomplishment for me, because I figured out what I think is the formula to making a static and being happy with the people that you raid with, right? And 100% was successful. They don't need me, right? They have fun just with themselves too. I mean, they could go out. While I've tweeted out, everyone came in because I put tweets out there and everything else. In the end, somehow we have this melded group that is so perfect together and happy together. And that is insane that something like that could come together. Yeah, and it's all because of charity, right? And same thing with stream. With stream, before when I streamed and it was kind of part-time every once in a while, I'd turn it on and sometimes I'd talk to some people. I wouldn't have all the normal people coming in all the time, right? It was just kind of a thing to do, and every once in a while I'd talk to a couple of people. But when I started doing it full-time, the same people start fucking coming in, which is a lot of you people in chat, right? And the same thing happened that happened with that static, and we have the MogTalk Union right now. People are like coming together and just hanging out and being friends, and there's like a community building, and it's so strange to me. It is so baffling that something like that happens, right? I'm just here doing what I'm doing, and the people who came into the community are actually forming, and I'm thinking are happy too, right? And the thought that something that I'm doing leads to happiness for other people is one of the best feelings. It really is. So and I think that's like over all this, right? Over all of the stuff that I've done, just the world race makes people happy, right? The people who are racing out there, the people who are involved in all this stuff, people are happy. The MogTalk episode where I can bring people on from the community and talk to them and really just get into those conversations, they're happy. So I don't think, and of course it's getting to me a little bit right now because I'm having like a self realization here. I don't think I ever planned for that kind of stuff to happen, but just knowing, give me a second. Hold on, give me a second. Oh, give me a second. You're gonna look at this for a second. All right. But just knowing that I have the stuff that I have made, it's made like 1, 2, 3 people happy. That is overwhelming for me. And I know it's at least a couple of people, right? Maybe more than that, but I know there's at least a couple of people. And all of this shit that I have done, if nothing else, if nothing else, I can say it, hold on. If nothing else, I've made people happy. And, that's crazy. That's crazy for me. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Like, it's thinking back now. Maybe I won't be able to keep this up full time. Maybe I won't be able to do this stuff in the future. Maybe things will change later. But I can feel good about that. So I'm glad we are at where we are. I'm glad for all you guys who are here. I'm glad for everyone who's listening to this. People who aren't here listening to it. There's so many people out there. And people don't always have to be here 24/7. People don't have to, always be here supporting a child, doing all this stuff. But just knowing that fact that there is something positive there, that's good. So, that being all said and everything, we've had other world races going on. We had the other Savage that happened afterwards, and we're about to get into Dawn Trail. So, you can start to think about MogTalk in general, right? Everything that I have done up to this point has been a let's try it and just see what happens, right? Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Let's make the best of it. And I'm going to continue doing that. Some of you may have recognized that I've had a couple of experimental videos. Thanks, Draken. I'm glad to hear that. I am glad to hear that. I've been putting some experimental videos out there of just like news coverage or Final Fantasy 14 or just discussion videos or other things. And this is me kind of testing the water with me doing certain types of content creation. And as we get into Dawn Trail, thank you, Blind Shadow.
Central input %.
I gotta fix that text to speech. Thank you. I gotta fix that stuff. It doesn't work with gift subs. It doesn't work with gift subs. Thank you so much. But the Dawn Trail's coming up. My goal for Dawn Trail is to continue MogTalk and to put it on a consistent basis. We're going to start having episodes almost every single weekend again. We're getting out of this lull. We're running into a new expansion, and MogTalk is going to come back with episodes after episode after episode as much as I can. And that's going to be starting very, very soon. So you guys should look forward to that. So in terms of MogTalk, it's been the core of everything that has ever happened with me in content creation, and it will continue on because I want to keep those episodes going. Jess, do you have plans on expanding the world race for Dawn Trail, more production, more sponsors, other languages? The world race is also something that I am going to be working on, right? So I've already I'm planning out the whole expansion, right? I'm trying to plan out all of these at least the 5 world races, right? The 5 world races, I am going to be 2 ultimates, 3 savages, at least that, hopefully more, right? I want to do Palace of the Dead type stuff or Deep Dungeon type stuff. I want to do maybe some more PvP events. I want to do some more other stuff, but at least those 5 are going to be the core part of the channel's major events, those world races. Other languages, if it comes up and there's a situation where it makes sense, we'll do other languages too, like restreaming and stuff like that. More production, we're going to keep Anadi on board as long as they want to be on board, and it makes sense for them to be on board. Anadi has been amazing to work with, and they're the type of people that we need involved with the world race. They're the type of people we need to work with, right? Sponsorship-wise, I am going to be trying to reach out to as many sponsors as I can. Corsair may be coming in again. I don't have contracts signed completely yet. We'll be announcing that stuff hopefully this month and next month. We'll be announcing a lot of the sponsors. We don't have a whole bunch of that completely settled, but yeah, I'm going to try to get as many sponsors as I can in for that, because the more sponsors we have for the World Race, the more real of an investment I can make it for other people who are coming in and helping. My goal Because again, I'm talking about the World Race in a sense of a volunteer event. I want it to be more than a volunteer event. I want it to expand past that. I want it to be a major event that raises money for charity. People who are part of it are rewarded. People who are raised it are rewarded. Everyone's rewarded as much as I can. And part of that is getting sponsors. And so you may be seeing a decent amount of sponsors coming involved with the World Race stuff, and I'm hoping to do that. I just have to convince the sponsors that it'd be a good investment for them too, right? And I think it is with the numbers that we have from Endwalker and everything else. It makes perfect sense for them to be involved with. There's a lot of sponsors that should be involved with it, but it's their choice too, right? They have to make that bet. So we'll see. 3 criterion. We'll see about the criterion too. Yeah, I'm hoping for the growth, right? I'm hoping for the growth. So World Race, expanding that, making it grow more and more, pushing it as far as I can. Podcast, continuing on with that. I'll be advancing that as it makes sense to advance it, and trying to do regular episodes with that. Those are 2 big things for MogTalk going forward. And whether I do full-time streaming or not, those 2 things still exist. Full-time streaming all depends on financial situation that I am in, and if there is a better financial situation for me to be in that does not involve full-time streaming, then I would probably have to take care, move in that direction. But I will still part-time stream. So I have to see how that looks. Everything that happens at the beginning of Dawn Trail determines that. So the success of MogTalk in general, and how the World Race goes, how videos go, how the channel does, everything else, this is when it will be at its peak, and I have to see what that looks like to know what that means for the channel full-time streaming-wise. But we will continue at least for the beginning of Dawn Trail. Moving forward, we will be full-time streaming and pushing really hard on content creation. And that means the next thing that I want to start expanding into, which is MogTalk and videos on YouTube. I enjoy covering news the same way that I did in the last couple episodes that I tested with, and discussion. So news and discussion videos are 2 things I want to do. There'll be short 5 to 10 minute videos of just news and discussion topics on a video with people who want to respond on those videos as well, right? And so I am likely going to be moving forward with that, in line with doing the MogTalk episodes as well. So instead of just doing 2-hour videos where I'm talking to people, doing 5 to 10 minute videos where I cover a topic and look for the public's opinion on it. And past that, I want to do guides on the... I have spent this whole last half of a year learning every fucking job in this game and trying to be better overall. I am so close to clearing every single savage with every single job. So I feel like I have at least a core of those down. And so I want to start making guide videos for PvE related content, at least starting with Dawn Trail. And I want to do it at a level that someone who doesn't play Final Fantasy XIV or has just started can absorb it. So it's not going to be deep, in-depth guides, but more welcome to Final Fantasy XIV guides. So that is my plan, is to make more welcome to Final Fantasy XIV guides for people coming in for Dawn Trail. Pepsi, to answer your question, Jet, Pepsi, you're crazy, Fligma, and what's the other one? Hymia. Okay. Yeah, those are, and Panhymia. Those are the ones that to answer your question. But I will be making those videos, okay? So that's the next thing that I will be doing. For content creation for full-time streaming, I am going to be focused on Party Finder again, as much as I can. Ultimates, if the Ultimate crew will have me for it, the top group will have me, I will likely be doing content with them. I'll be doing content with the Union 1 night a week, and hopefully doing Ultimate content with our top group, for those that want to be involved with it. But we'll also be doing whatever content that with them I can as well during the beginning of the expansion. But for the daytime streams, full-time streaming, Party Finder, and progression, and helping people clear stuff in Party Finder, because I believe raiding in this game is such a central part of me and MogTalk in general, and I will be focusing a good bit on that as Dawn Trail goes out. I'll be leveling every single job that I can and clearing with every single job that I can. So yeah. RDS, do you have a favorite episode or topic that you've done? No, that's too hard. To be honest with you, like there's so many episodes that I've done that it's very difficult for me to pin down a single one of these that I love. The streaming episode was amazing with Arthur's, Siren, and Zeno, and talking about full-time streaming, and Happy on that as well. That was an amazing episode that we did. It was very important to me. And with I don't know, just a handful of these shows were just great shows to just talk to people. Anyone that just talks to me about the race, even when Pyro was coming on for the lore videos, those were amazing. There's so many of these that were just fun. And I most episodes, almost every episode, I enjoy doing, right? So I can't really give, I don't think I'll ever be able to say which one was like a favorite episode. Who's your favorite co-healer in Ultimate? So there's something I like to tell my daughter a lot. I tell her she's my favorite daughter. It works in two different ways. One is she's my only daughter, right? But I'm sending a positive message to her. I will tell you that Jet is my favorite Ultimate co-healer. With the caveat of knowing that he's my only Ultimate co-healer. Hopefully that answers your question quick. But yeah, just such 9 years of just insanity here, dude. I remember when we did Unchained, Zeno was doing his podcast Unchained, and I just hosted it for him here. I just hosted it on my channel, right? Oh, that was such a crazy yeah. But yeah, there's so many just years and decades of work, guys, that I've put into MogTalk, and it's crazy to think it's been 300 episodes now. And you're going to get at 350 this time next year. You can expect it hopefully to be around 350. So we'll see. This next year is going to be one of the most insane years for me in content creation ever, just because of how packed it's going to be and my dedication to being full-time right now. Throw a part for 350. Okay. Bach, I think he's doing fine. Every time I've talked to him, he's doing great. But I haven't reached out to him recently, so I don't really know. But every time that I have talked to him, it's been good. Bach's pretty awesome. I met him at FanFest recently, 2023, and this is the first time I saw him and hung out with him, and he was such a positive guy, dude. So already had a background of the MogTalk room. Yeah. But yeah, dude, I didn't think that I could talk for 2.5 hours, but we're almost there at 2.5 hours. And it means a lot, you guys who are here talking to me and everything. I'm sorry if I missed any questions. If you guys have any other questions or anything, you can feel free to ask me too. While we start to get closer to wrap up here. Don't say that. Don't say that. No. I don't mean a lot. I've got them all. Okay, good. But I am really looking forward to what we can do. And hopefully, we go and do a whole nother year. And we'll be back around this time next year at 350. With just a whole nother year of everyone being that much better in the world than we are now, right? Sorry, the box stuff isn't working currently playing. That's really, all I gotta really say. We covered most everything here. We've covered the world race. We've covered PvP commentation. We've covered MogTalk. We've covered just content creation in general. And I think if I was going to give anyone, I don't know if I'm a person who should give advice, but if I was going to give anyone advice, and this is just me, and maybe it's not the right way to handle it for a lot of people who want instant gratification, but I'm a slow burner, man. I start and just do whatever I think's best and just keep pushing at it, right? And just try to make decisions and just change. And eventually, anyone who's wanting to do stuff, God damn to you, thank you. Thank
Person trying to person.
% raw input %.
Thank you for the gifted subs. If you guys are curious, it's supposed to it's saying raw input. It's saying raw input. So what it does is during a normal stream or normal sub, what it does is it takes the input of the message that happens when you post a message there, and it's the raw input, and it's supposed to read it out loud. This only happens on gifted subs. During a regular sub, I don't think it would happen, but it's saying % raw input %. Okay, we'll see. Okay, it only happens during that one moment. But yeah, I'm planning for a lot coming up in the future, guys, and I'm hoping that everyone is, is still in a better place in the world by that time as well. Oh gosh, I was about to say something. And I got interrupted there. What was I talking about? Hold on. Oh yeah, okay. So Dream State. You guys didn't say anything about this, but Dream State, MogTalk. In the future. Except people would just have to tell yeah, they would just say that instead, right? They would put that instead of putting yeah. Dream state for MogTalk in the future at some point is I would love to grow MogTalk to be what a lot of these other organizations, not representing exactly the same kind of personalities and everything, but to be at the level of success some of these other like the OTKs out there, the Team Liquids, the Echoes, they're all big for different reasons, but to have some sort of level of this is a serious business for content creators in the world, or for the Final Fantasy XIV community, a serious business organization there to support everything that we've done so far. That would be Dream State, but I can't ever imagine that happening. Final Fantasy XIV would have to blow up more, I think, too, and there would have to be a lot of wins make that happen. But that is the Dream State. You can imagine it. You can imagine that eventually maybe something like that could happen. I think that would be cool to get to that point to where MogTalk is hosting lots of different types of content from lots of different creators and lots of different people, and just a platform for the Final Fantasy XIV community making stuff out there that makes everyone else happy. We talked about this as CEO of MogTalk Show. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great, right? And everybody's getting drunk in the background, right? What do you recommend for people starting their own podcast? Is this a personal question, Jet? Again, I didn't know what I was doing when I was getting into creating a podcast. I didn't know what a podcast was. All I did, and the reason MogTalk has had success, is this integration of the community. That is it. That is literally, I think, the biggest part of its success starting out, is leaving like the co-hosting side stuff and letting that kind of fade away, and letting guests be the other people on it, leaving room for other people to talk, letting people be in that platform. But that's MogTalk, right? Not everyone fits that same mold. Some people to get together, like Limit Break Radio was a solid cast of the same people all the time, which is also really strong. The thing is you're bringing people to your show to see people they want to see. And so you can make the people that they want to see be you and the other people on the show. And so I would say if you're starting your podcast, you're starting streaming, you're starting anything, right? Do what you like doing, and don't try to fit into another mold of someone else. You could take advice, you could take things, but try to keep it always yours, what you want to do. Because if you start making it something that you don't want to do, then when you're not successful with it, you'll stop. Absolutely. When you don't feel that immediate success, you're doing work for no reason at all. Make it something that you want to show up and do. And that will give it a lot of life. And the people who want to be there will eventually stick around, right? And that's the people you want to be there. It's the people who want to see the content you want to make. That is the dream state for, I think, any content creator, is you're making stuff you want to make, and the people who are showing up are people who want to absorb that content. And it may not be 20,000 people watching your show, but you'll be happy doing what you want to do. And you could do little things to try to increase the production, increase everything, as long as you never just get into a point to where you start doing stuff that you don't want to do, because that's the death of a podcast. And this is going to sound horrible, but never feel afraid of giving up too. Never get stuck in something that you don't want to do. That's the philosophy I took with actually our raid group too. When we had people who left, I was like, that is okay, because if someone leaves, it means they couldn't be there or didn't want to be there. And if I would have tried to be like a little aggressive, did I make it an awkward situation for everyone else? And they aren't happy being there, even if they did decide to stay, right? Always treat those things knowing that it's going to be the best decision, and people are going to be happy separated apart if they want to do that. And same thing with my co-host, right? They couldn't be on anymore because of whatever reason, and that worked out to be better in the end. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Alrighty, how would one go about volunteering or contribute to their bigger race streams? Normally what we do is put out a form closer to it. The commentation side gets a little bit crowded in some sense, right? For who we can have on and commentating and everything else. But there's so much other stuff that we need, like people who can mod the chat, people who can just be out there and send information to us, right, about the race. People who can help with just the legwork and the analysts that's happening. We're putting analysts in the background now for the world race, right, to try to help us. That stuff helps out a lot for the world race, I think. Chief crafting officer, yeah. Anyways, guys, I think that's pretty good. 2.5 hours just by myself. I was not expecting that. I thought I was going to cut it off after about an hour or so. But after going through this history, it's a lot. It's a lot of history. This has been really fun. I'm glad I did it. You know, it's not the production we put on for 200, episode 200, episode 100, episode 50, but it is something I'm still very happy with. And I'm hoping that to keep going forward, always in some way, you know, whether it's, you know, full-time streaming, whether it's just a podcast, whatever, MogTalk is here. So I hope you guys can at least have that kind of assurance that MogTalk's here, and it will still be here for quite a while. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and do the outro screen. Thank you all for watching. You know, be good. Keep cool. Stay frosty. I love you all. Bye.